Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of the podcast. Today we have Frank.
Jossie.
Oh, and this is your homeboy S Money.
Yeah,
Talking Sean over here.
Yeah. So it's our second time trying this.
Yeah, this is podcast number, 4, right?
Let's just go with 7.
7.
Okay, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been having some issues. Don't hang yourself up too much on the details, listeners.
Yeah.
What's important is we're here and we're live just for you.
Except we're not if they're listening to this as a recording.
Yeah, that's not wrong.
But if they're alive and they're listening to it, it's like they're listening to it as if it were actually happening.
I suppose that's true. But anyway. Yeah, in case you're wondering,
just some Sean Fusionism for you.
we did have some technical difficulties last week, so that's why there wasn't an episode. I know all of our 7 viewers for the first episode were absolutely distraught, but
Oh.
Hey, I was honestly, I was kind of looking for something to listen to while I was I did a lot of computer maintenance this weekend, and I was like, man, I kind of want to listen to the episode we did, but it didn't get recorded.
yeah, technical difficulties indeed. It sucks. There's not really a good way to record Skype. I can't, I don't know why either. It seems like that would be something that they would fix, I guess.
I think you know what happened is Microsoft put a hex on you.
That must be what it is.
Oh, no.
A hex in hex.
Yeah, Halloween time, fellas.
That is what
Halloween
happens,
time.
Yeah. So anyway,
There's actually been a fair amount of interesting news this week.
yeah, like we tried to talk about earlier, we've had some big Pokemon leaks. The demo was released in Europe, and was it just Europe that they released the demo in?
It's been in Japan for a while.
Yeah.
And pretty much every European subsidiary, not only Nintendo of Europe, but Australia has it now.
Gotcha. And I know, I remember seeing a list of places that were going to get it, but hadn't gotten it yet.
Yeah. Because, we're still waiting, correct? Ours,
We are,
it doesn't come out in the States till later this month?
I think it's
couple
next
days.
week.
Okay.
If news is to be believed on NeoGAF, it's the 21st. They're sending out the
so
Pokemon Club newsletter
That's
with the code.
Tuesday.
Well, it's a good thing I opted in for that.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure I'm opted in at least somewhere. So,
Yeah.
Me too.
yeah. So, some of the interesting things that have come out. We found out that the
Tons of
megas that we can get from the demo are Mega Steelix and Mega Glalie.
Oh yeah.
And
I,
that's interesting to me because they said we could carry over 1 mega, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean there's a demo for each version?
That's what it sounds like, because from what I've read up on, it will be version dependent. I don't remember which one is which, but depending on which version you get, you'll get either Steelix or Glalie.
Wasn't it also both of the demos also include a specific stone for Lunatone and Solrock as well?
Yes.
I wasn't sure if they included the stone in the demo or if that was just data mined, supposedly. Because another thing that we got was a list of supposedly data mined, quote unquote. I guess it was just megas. Yeah, megas.
Yeah.
And so what this means is that people were able to go into the code of the game and see the megas that we could potentially get. Maybe a complete list of them from the code of the game.
Because they found Mega Hoopa.
Yeah,
Mega
which is
Hoopa.
weird because they haven't even had the event for Hoopa
Yeah,
yet.
we haven't gotten the Hoopa event. Did we have the Deontay event?
That's coming up later this month. That starts on the 26th, I think.
Gotcha.
Only Japan has had that so far.
Yeah.
So that
only
means we
Japan's
haven't
had
even
that.
gotten any of the other
event
legendaries
legendaries.
from
Yeah.
this generation.
Because, like, we know what all of the legend... Well, not all, but a number of the event legendaries that were coded from X and Y. They
Yeah.
data mined those out a long time ago.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for those we got obviously Hoopa, Deontay, both of which you mentioned.
Mhm.
Volcanion.
which was water fire supposedly.
Yeah.
Sounded pretty cool. And then there was,
We also haven't got that one yet either.
no, we
No.
haven't even heard hide nor hair of that one.
Or Hoopa, really. That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
like
I'd
those
never-
two...
Yeah.
When I saw Hoopa, I was like, "What is that?"
Well, and the mega for Hoopa looks really different. Like,
Yeah.
at least with the other Pokemon, they've kept kind of like a semblance of what they were.
Mhm.
I felt like, whereas with Hoopa, it was completely different. There's no, like, the color scheme's similar, but
Mhm.
if you hadn't, if you didn't know that was what that mega was for, you'd have no idea.
Hey, I have something I'm very curious about,
Mhm.
at least from what the data mining has seemed to put out. None of the megas are changing the types at all. I don't like. Why are they not doing that?
I think Alteria's is, but like almost all of the other ones, yeah, it doesn't change any types.
Like, why the heck is Pidgeot still normal flying, and why is Beedrill not a better typing than Bug Poison? They had a chance.
It's true.
Bug Poison, albeit, is not a super terrible typing.
Yeah, especially with Fairy being weak to poison.
Yeah.
Next phase, poison is much more viable, I feel, than it used to be.
The last few days I've been doing a lot of battle spot battles, and I've been using Scoilipede, who is
He's
Bug
good.
Poison. But I've been able to switch in, because I use him for Speed Boost Baton Pass shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to switch into a lot of stuff because, like, people will try and take advantage of the typings, and then I'll use Sub and Protect, usually.
Right. Mhm.
And then switch into something that will resist whatever the hell they're using.
Yeah, in terms of like
But I don't know if that's what you're going to be doing with Beedrill, so...
In terms of the type changes, I really don't know, but I'm like, if we think back to X and Y, were there really that many type changes? I mean, obviously with Charizard X, I guess we got Dragon Fire. That was a change.
It felt like at least half of them were.
Ampharos got Dragon for no particular reason.
Yeah.
God, let me look at the old Mega.
I know Abomasnow stayed the same.
So let's see here. Our differences are so Charizard X obviously got Fire Dragon.
Right.
Pinsir got Bug Flying.
Yeah.
Gyarados got
Yeah.
transferred to Water Dark from Water Flying. Mewtwo X got Fighting along with the Psychic. Ampharos became Electric Dragon for some reason. So that's that's really only.
Oh, well, no, that was a change that was made anyway. I was about to talk about Gardevoir and Mawile, but...
Yeah, apparently their regular forms are. When I'm looking at this list.
Yeah, and Mega Aggron, I forgot about that. He switches to Mono Steel. I believe he was Rock Steel or Ground Steel.
He's Steel Rock. And so really we got 6 or 7 changes of type. So I guess it wasn't necessarily uncommon.
It just feels, I don't know, maybe it's biased. Maybe obviously it hasn't come out yet, but it just seemed like less this time, and like less effort was put into it. I don't know.
And our changes so far, from the announced and even the unannounced legendaries, are Sceptile changes to Grass Dragon.
Yeah.
Altaria changes to Dragon Fairy, which is our first Dragon Fairy.
Mm-hmm.
I will talk about that in just a second because I think the implications of that are interesting.
Yeah.
And then the Lopunny Mega gets Fighting along with normal. And Arduino gets Fairy along with its normal. And that is it. That's 3 changes for the
Do we know Hoopa's original typing?
No, well, if we do, we'd have to look it up.
Yeah. I'll-
Because Psychic Dark is interesting for that.
Here, I'm on Cerebi.
okay.
Because it looks like the Mega Psychic Dark.
Yeah.
Hoopa is Psychic Ghost.
Okay.
So they changed it over to Psychic Dark. Yeah, I don't know. It seems interesting to me, in particular with something like Altaria, where it's Dragon Fairy, and it gets pixely, which is pretty nuts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, man, Altaria.
Doesn't that increase, like...
It makes normal moves, fairy type moves, and increases their power by 30%.
Yeah.
Cool, so, like, if they used Hyper Beam or Gig Impact,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Hyper Beam's the one you'd want to use.
Yeah, it would be fairy and 30% more powerful again.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And that's really what made Mega Pinsir so good. He doesn't have Pixelate, but he has
Aerialate.
which Mega Salamence is getting, I think.
Yeah.
But it does the same thing, but for flying moves. So any normal move that either Mega Pinsir or Mega Salamence use gets turned into a
Flying type.
better flying type move.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nuts for things like Return that have such high impact anyway as a normal type move. It gets suddenly hit for flying, like...
Well, and odds are they gave Salamence that for Thrash because he learns Thrash, but he does not have any way in the current generation of learning Outrage unless they bring move tutors back, which they probably will.
Yeah.
But now there would be
hopefully.
no point in using Thrash over Outrage because of the fairy meta.
Oh, yeah. Also, you get Hyper Beam with Salamence, right?
You could also get Giga Impact on Salamence if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he runs pretty split between special and attack.
Yeah, you can run him either way.
Which makes him a bit more versatile than
Mhm.
Pinsir is. Pinsir's kind of a Mega Pinsir anyway. It's kind of a one-trick pony in a lot of ways because obviously you have Sword Stance. You can make him very powerful, but you're gonna thrash on him pretty much all of the time. Which can make. Obviously, it's not something you necessarily see a lot, but it can make Mega Pinsir pretty predictable. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, and you also have to be careful with using moves like Thrash with a Mega Stone because you're gonna get the confusion. Normally, you'd circumvent that with like a Lumberry or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would force a switch, or you'd have to start flipping coins to not hurt yourself.
Right, and neither of those is advantageous, really. So it is something of a toss up there in terms of I really do feel like, despite the fact that we've gotten, I guess, a lower list of megas here, I feel like some of the megas in this version of the game could be more viable in terms of competitively. Like,
And then you have some that seem like throwaways, like Mega Camerupt.
and Lopunny, like
Yeah.
some quite random Pokemon have gotten Mega Evolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, like, a lot of these are just unexpected. I don't think anybody was clamoring for a Mega Audino.
Yeah, I highly doubt that. And then, of course, we also have the unique case of Latios and Latios seeming to get basically the same Mega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're a little different because they're using different stones and there are different Pokemon. I guess their move pools are a little different from each other.
Yeah,
I mean-
because I think, well, they each get a specific move this generation. Like, they each get a special move that's unique to them.
Gotcha.
They also get Soar.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
also the only Pokemon that could do. And I really hope that doesn't take up a move slot. Either that, or it has to be a really viable move.
Yeah, I'm interested. So, for those of you who don't follow what we're talking about, basically what's going to happen in Alpha and Omega is Latios and Latios are going to get a move called Soar. It's the only Pokemon that we know of that can use this.
Yeah, according to all the news so far, it's the only one.
Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And basically what this will do is allow you to have a kind of overworld of the game with flying, which will allow you to get to secret areas.
And have encounters.
And have encounters. And also to get from place to place without using basically the fast travel of Pokemon, which is fly. Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's interesting to me. I'm wondering if Soar will allow you to put yourself down in specific locations that aren't cities, because that would be pretty useful.
Yeah. Like I could see, once again, I could see this being like almost revolutionary for Pokemon, but on the other hand, I could see it being kind of detrimental, I guess, because in the old games, at least, you would have to go through the entire game to get to Latios and Latios, and obviously that's not necessarily that big of a deal, but
supposedly you get them fairly early in this game.
Yeah, it sounds like you get them about halfway through, or you can, and for me, I don't know, I like having some challenge to my Pokemon games, and I know that Latios at least used to be a pretty big bruiser in the competitive scene.
Oh yeah, he still is.
Even if he wasn't, getting a legendary halfway through the game is nothing to sneer at.
Yeah.
And I just hope they're not going down the route of X and Y where they make everything almost too easy.
I mean, reaching some broader strokes here, this kind of is a general topic in gaming. Especially Nintendo recently has been making a lot of games not just easier, not just empirically easier to complete the game, but also there's a lot less specialness to things that used to be special.
Yeah.
Using X and Y as an example, Xerneas and Yveltal don't really feel like anything at all. They're super easy to catch. They're in the storyline. So you have to catch. Well, I mean, you don't have to catch it, but you have to encounter it at least.
Yep. You also something else they changed, which, for better or worse, will probably be a thing in Alpha and Omega, is they give every legendary you catch 3 randomly generated max IVs, so they're even more powerful.
Really, I did not realize that.
Yeah, I actually tested this with my Mewtwo catch in X, I think. And so essentially you end up with at least 3 max IVs, I believe, on any legendary that you catch. I know it's the case with Xerneas and Yveltal.
Yeah.
And so that makes the last 2 or 3 gems a cinch, especially if you're playing X, because there's a Dragon Elite Four person.
Yeah.
I don't know. All in all, I agree.
Because it's not even just in Pokemon, but Smash was like that for a lot of us.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything was so easy to unlock, and then even in Mario Kart 8, it's just there's no fanfare for winning. Things that used to hold a lot of importance, there's no real fanfare for winning a competition or winning a Grand Prix in Mario Kart. There's no real there was no intro to Smash, and when you finished a thing, there was no real fanfare for the character or anything like that. There used to be.
I don't know. To me, and this is a bit of a retrospective, I guess, because we did talk about Smash in the first episode. But to me, Smash 3DS feels almost incomplete.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to get all the characters. The challenges, which are basically what you're supposed to be working towards, some of them seem really out of place, I guess.
And they're not balanced, because the first 2 pages are pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
And then you unlock that third page, and it's just asking you to do really either obnoxiously hard or just really tedious things.
Brawl
complete.
Had that.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a little bit different because on the second page you have beat Classic with 5 characters, and then the third page is beat Classic with every character.
Yeah.
So it goes from 5 to 49 characters or whatever our total count is.
I mean, that was in Brawl though. It was just all one page. Like there was one panel for 5 and one for all.
Yeah, but you didn't have to unlock. You know what I mean? Like for 3DS, for Smash 3DS, it felt to me like the pages were kind of a progression, and that you would have a natural progression from one to the other. And it felt like there should be more than 3 pages of challenges, which I can't say that there aren't. I haven't gotten that far yet. But I'm pretty sure that there are just the 3 pages. And it does seem like a huge jump to go from like I said, be Classic with 5 to being Classic with every character. Yeah. So, and I appreciate the difficulty of the challenges on the 3rd page, right? But the challenges on the 1st and 2nd page are very easy.
Well, and they even have duplicates almost of challenges on the 3rd page, because on the 3rd page there is a challenge to defeat 2 enemies in Cruel Smash, and then to defeat 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the choices that they made, like how the unlock system worked, and how there seems like such a gap, to me anyway, in Classic from, like, everything in Classic seems easy up until the, spoilers, but the Master Core fight.
Yeah.
Seems, like, incredibly broken versus the rest of the rest of Classic.
I do enjoy that boss fight, though.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad boss fight by any means.
No. I definitely agree.
But versus, like, I could play through the entirety of, like, say, a level 9 Classic, and I'm not going to lose any lives until I get to the Master Core fight, at which point I will solidly be beaten.
Right.
And, part of that, to me, does make the game feel like it's not as complete as it could be. In terms of balancing, at least. I do feel like most of the characters are balanced well against each other, relatively speaking. There's nobody that stands out to me as being incredibly broken.
No.
But that
Doggone OP.
said,
Doggone OP.
and
except
it's nice,
when I beat you as Little Mac.
it's nice to me that they changed it up some, because they have character ranges now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like Duck Hunt and Mega Man, to a greater extent, I guess, play kind of mid-range characters, and it's not really something we've seen before in a Smash game.
Mm-hmm. I've definitely found him to be longer range than Mega Man.
Right.
For the way I play him.
But he's also, like, most of his moves have a range to them. As opposed to someone like Samus, where you have the missile, your power beam, the powered up ball thing. And the missiles, the drop bomb. Those three attacks are fairly ranged moves, but then the rest of their stuff is up close. It's punches. It's the screw attack.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really call her a ranged character. I would argue.
Yeah, at
she's
least
a projectile
in a traditional
character.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was nice to see some change up in the game, but I do agree that there seems to be a disparate range of difficulty for the activities they have you doing, and just like the single player experience in general.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's there was one person's this is something that really stuck with me, is someone said that Smash for the 3DS feels like a vehicle to get you to online as fast as possible, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that sums up a lot of like why it feels incomplete. Is really it was just okay. Here's everything unlocked. Okay, now go play online with all your friends. Like that's how the 3DS one feels to me. Hopefully the Wii U one's way more complete.
Yeah, that definitely, like, that resonates with me. I can see how that could be what they were aiming for.
Yeah.
And I am with you. I'm very much hoping that the 3D or not the Wii U one is the complete version. I guess we've all kind of been looking for.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there's been some speculation that we will be getting a Smash Direct here soon.
I've heard about that.
Because there's been some talk that the Wii U version will be the complete quote-unquote Smash experience, is what Sakurai said.
The complete Smash experience.
I love that quote alongside the whole board game. Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that. The leak of the board game.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
This week we got some info supposedly leaked about Smash U, and supposedly our main, I guess like the equivalent would be Smash Run on the 3DS. But our main mode is going to be a board game of some sort.
Yeah. There's like competition mini games that are going to be put on by Crazy Hand and
Master
Hand. Apparently.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll run into Master Core again in the Wii U one. Because he doesn't really seem like a throwaway. I don't know.
No. I would love to see that like higher res and everything. Like that fight. It's such a intense, like lots of effects are going on in that fight between all like the darkness that shrouds the different forms and different attacks. It'd be cool to see in a higher def.
So, this brings me to a question I wanted to ask you guys, which was, so if the Wii U version of the game is going to be the complete version, do you think that we'll be getting more characters? Do you think that there will actually be a disparity between what we get in the Wii U version and what we were told we would be getting originally versus the two versions?
I definitely think we're getting new characters. I don't know for sure if the 3DS one's going to get any. But I guarantee we'll be getting DLC characters for Smash because of Hyrule Warriors and Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, they've definitely been more active with the DLC, even in Pokemon, which is, I guess, kind of notorious for DLC with the event Pokemon and stuff. We've been seeing more distribution, and obviously we have the 2 packs from Mario Kart, and then we have the extra stuff, lots of extra stuff for Hyrule Warriors, even if that isn't necessarily a mainstream Nintendo game.
But like the fact that other people that aren't Mario characters entered into Mario Kart, like not only was it just DLC for Mario Kart, but DLC that involved other Nintendo properties that required like new modeling, like the Master Cycle or whatever they call it. Like that's an all new piece of art that they had to draw up, do concept art for, and then like actually model in the game and everything. Right. Like they're they're devoting the Mario Kart. I'm using this example because they're devoting so many resources to making it look so good and still fit in with Mario Kart that I can't imagine that they wouldn't take advantage of Super Smash Brothers to do the same sort of thing.
Right, I agree. And it does seem like a good vehicle for what is to come, I guess. Like a good indicator of what will probably happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do think that...
Well, that would be silly. I just looked at that article you linked, Frank.
Oh, yes. I'll put that in the...
we'll have a link
in
dump.
the description. But essentially...
what's silly?
Essentially,
Eiji Aonuma would like to see Mario Kart 8's Master Cycle in future Zelda games.
Oh yeah, I read that. Yeah.
This brings up something that I've actually kind of always wanted to talk about with you guys, but there's never been a good chance to. What would you guys think of them doing a Zelda set in like the future?
Hey, I want to hear Jesse's opinion on this. I feel like you're more Zelda than I am.
Honestly, meh.
Like you wouldn't feel too
like
bad
one of
that
the
it wasn't
weirdest reactions, but because I don't. That's the thing. It's like the aesthetic doesn't work. I feel like in the future, like. I know it's fantasy, so you can really just make anything up at the drop of a hat, but like, what is Link just running around with like a riot shield and fight monsters with a gun to start with, and then it's like, oh, this isn't working because magic, gotta use a sword.
What about
like,
that?
Like, that's the thing. Future technology just doesn't seem to work in the Zelda universe because it's like the adventure of a knight, essentially.
What about
it's
that
like,
bow and arrow in the E3 video?
I'm reserving judgment on that until we get more details. But again, that's still like a bow and arrow.
Right.
Like, if you're in the future, why isn't he using guns? Is like my thing.
I don't know. I have always, like, in thinking about the concept for it, I've always thought of it as being more Star Wars-esque, I guess. Like, with people using bow and arrows opposed to guns. And, you know, not necessarily lightsabers, obviously. But, like, kind of where it's more science fantasy as opposed to sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, in Star Wars, they have all those spaceships and everything, but still on the planets, they, you know, ride tauntauns and other things like that, where it's still, like, closer to basic warfare.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I can understand. I can understand why it wouldn't work, but I also think it could be an interesting idea. I don't know.
I mean, Skyward Sword kind of played with that with the Lanaryu Desert area. The time spheres and the robot things. I can't remember their names.
Who cares? It was Skyward Sword.
But it didn't, like, that didn't set off any, like, amazing warning bells. Like, people didn't hate Skyward Sword because of the fact that it had technology in it. It was other reasons. Like, the technology really didn't bother anybody as far as I remember.
No, and again, like, anything, so long as it's well implemented within its own sphere, like, is fine. It's just, like, taking that whole aesthetic of, like, the future, because, like, what is the future?
Yeah, that's a good point. I just, it was just something I thought I would bring up since we're talking about putting the Master Cycle in other future Zelda games.
And again, like, how is it used?
Yeah.
Does it make the game dumb?
Does it make the game dumb?
Yeah, is the game still fun? You know, regardless, I would think. You know,
Yeah.
It's a good question to ask of any change.
I mean, my opinion on it, I'm a little bit the same boat as Jesse. I want to see more experimentation. I'd like to see more. I wouldn't mind seeing technology things, and like if that bow and arrow turns out to be some sort of like technological thing. But yeah, there's a line to be drawn, and a motorcycle does not fit in.
No.
Zelda
games.
continuity.
Like, again, unless it's like a one-off thing where it's in like a mini game.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, like the baseball.
then it would
thing.
be pretty understandable, but like just having Link ride around on a motorcycle instead of like having Epona or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is this now? Where are we that we are in a big enough world to have a motorcycle?
Right.
I mean, it's true. Link, of course, we're all forgetting. I remember this was on NeoGAF, someone said at least it's better than driving a train. We're all still forgetting Spirit Tracks.
I never played that, so I don't consider it to exist.
It's like, you know how you're saying as long as it doesn't make Zelda dumb? They made Zelda dumb.
I've heard so many bad things about Spirit Tracks.
So
I've heard about the flute, the goddamn trains. It's just like, I'm not playing that.
That's an example of future technology that doesn't really fit.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's such a disappointment to me too, because Wind Waker. I haven't played as much Zelda as you guys have, but Wind Waker is my favorite of the Zeldas that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like there was so much potential for new stories in that Hyrule. You know, at the end of Wind Waker.
Yeah.
That they showed, and then we get Spirit Tracks. And
Well,
Phantom Hourglass.
Like, Phantom Hourglass,
it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Like, the worst part about it was the Sea King Temple.
Yeah.
Or whatever the hell it was called. The place you had to keep going back to.
Yeah, the place where you use the actual Phantom Hourglass to keep resetting the time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you manipulated Zelda as her Phantom form and stuff like that. Yeah, I enjoyed Phantom Hourglass the same way I enjoyed Minish Cap. I like a lot of Zeldas better than those two, but they're still enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was actually a big fan of Minish Cap. I don't know. My biggest thing about the two DS games was like the method of control, I guess.
Yeah.
I've
Touch-based
never-
control was really
Yeah.
unnecessary.
I've never been a fan of stuff like that where it's kind of gimmicky, I guess.
That's another example of future technology not working in a Zelda series.
You are correct. Yeah, I don't know. They've never been like I've never seen a reason to go back and play those two in particular.
You're not missing too much, honestly. I would recommend Jesse to play them because you're a big Zelda guy. If you ever get your hands on them, just to round out your experience with Zelda.
Yeah.
Hey, how much time do we have left?
We have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, because I did before we left, or whatever. I wanted to talk about, as you guys may or may not know, I got a new 3DS from Japan.
Yes, I heard.
I saw the tweet, the
Yeah.
tweeters.
The Hexavision. I created the Hexavision.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Did you didn't see that?
No, we
There's
just saw what Kyle linked.
because I got faceplates. There was one that has Timmy and Tommy from Animal Crossing.
Right.
And then there's also ones with the super mushrooms. So the top one has Timmy and Tommy, which is like just their heads.
Uh-huh.
And because it's like all modern and like I don't know, aesthetically pleasing or whatever, it's just basically their face with their eyes, and then the bottom plate is just the super mushroom eyes or 6 eyes that look back at you.
Hexavision.
Wow.
Hey, face plates are amazing because I made a work of art. This should be in an art museum. It's a
Art museum.
See, one day I'm going to be
Hexavision.
dead, and then people are going to be like, "Whoa, this guy made something just amazing that speaks to me in the world."
Well, so I guess that brings up the question: have you gotten to mess with the technology at all? Like,
Oh yeah,
what do you think about it?
I have completed the system transfer. That was pretty hectic and kind of harrowing in Japanese.
Yeah,
I want to like
it's-
lose my data.
I'm sure.
I did it.
Sounded
fine,
like
thankfully.
it. It took you like what 4 hours to do?
Yes,
Jeez.
which is not uncommon according because you have to transfer all your data over and do this other stuff.
Mhm.
But on the system itself, I got the smaller one because I wanted to do the faceplate stuff. It's bigger than the normal 3DS, but smaller than the XL or whatever.
Right.
I find it, because I've been playing the XLs and I still have the American one, so I'll be playing it side by side. It's tough for me to get used to this smaller screen.
I'm sure.
I feel like because when this inevitably comes to the States, I'll get a new XL. I'll probably enjoy that more, but I couldn't pass up the whole faceplates thing. I wish that was on the XLs, but one thing I really want to say, the fidelity on these screens is absolutely amazing. And you know how most of us don't really play with 3D on?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would play, like every time I get a new game, I'd play with the 3D on for a while. And
Yeah.
if I could tolerate it, or if it's a game where I would just be normally just sitting there playing it for like hours, there's a couple that have been that way. Like the Phoenix Wright games, I usually have the 3D on because I like the effect and I'm just sitting there. But the fact that this has that 3D tracking makes it. I've had it on this whole time. I play Smash with 3D on now, and it has the backlit adjustment so that the lighting is always good. The image on the screen is so crisp compared to any
Even the
previous
XL.
3DS model. Yeah.
Well, that makes me wonder if the XL is still going to suffer from the kind of pixelation, I guess, that we get a bit with the current XL.
Could be.
You know, obviously we don't really have a way to test that, but the difference is definitely noticeable for me anyway. When I upgraded from the original to the XL, I could tell that there was some pixelation there, and and like for stuff like Pokemon, for me as someone who likes to do pixel art, that was pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
cool to be able to see the see stuff, especially in black and white, and black and white 2, that in greater detail. But then in stuff like Smash, I can not
Like the
not
models.
so much Smash, but the models just seem less detailed than I feel like they would on a regular size 3DS.
Right. Well, I've heard Smash on a regular one is almost impossible to play just because of how small it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This seems like a good intermediate size in between. But
That's cool.
Have you gotten to utilize the nub yet?
well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was gonna run down because there's a lot of new features that I was really excited about. One of the ones I'm super excited about is the amiibo, but that's not going to be like I won't be able to use that, figure that out till the amiibos get released. But
Right.
Yeah.
the one I was super excited for, or the one that surprised me the most, was the fidelity. The second one is this. It has such good processing capabilities now. Like eShop things download so quick. Everything is just much quicker. I found that to be super. Like, it's just below the fidelity in terms of like the best feature that I've used so far. The lowest on the bottom, the lowest on the list is the nub.
Really?
Honestly, I don't use it in Smash.
Is that how you would C-stick normally, or
Yeah, it's
ew?
yeah.
That is in such a bad position to do
Just
that.
and it also doesn't seem like it would be good for that in general.
Well, I'll say this: I'm probably not the best person to use as a test subject because I didn't C-stick. I'm not a C-sticker.
Yeah.
Not like I have anything against it. It's just I'm so used to playing without the C-stick
No, I know how
Mhm.
that is.
Yeah.
I don't use it. I have tried using it, and it's responsive. Like, I don't feel like the position of it is too bad. Like, being above the buttons is not bad. And I feel like if it were another circle pad above the buttons, it would be amazing. The worst part of it for me is the nub feature. It's not that it doesn't work, because it's super responsive, don't get me wrong. It's just, it feels wrong. Like,
Because, is it like an old, laptop trackpad where it's just,
Yes.
it doesn't move at all? You just
yes.
push it in a direction?
Yes, it's exactly like that.
That sounds really odd.
Yeah.
Again, it's not uncomfortable. It doesn't hurt my hand. It's not that it's not responsive, and it can really tell which direction I'm pushing it in. It just feels wrong. I'd love to get someone, I don't know if anybody in the group is more C-sticking of a person. The next
Well-
time we get together, I'd love to see what you guys think of it.
I'd feel like a C-stick in, the 3DS version would be helpful, because I have had times where it's oh, you didn't do a smash attack, you did a dash attack, or just things like that, when you want to do a smash attack.
Yeah, that's been the one thing about the circle pad for me is that, I don't know, my biggest thing has been up Bs versus
Yeah.
over Bs, and it just
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the C-stick won't help with that.
no, but it'll just kill me. I can't, I can't really up B versus over B.
Or
sometimes.
up being in the wrong direction. I had that happen to me. I think I was using Lucario in a single player thing, and I tried to jump back to the stage with his thing or whatever, and I didn't realize I had it slightly to the
yeah.
right, so I just
That was a mess
jumped
for me,
away
right?
from the stage.
I think
Yeah.
that was when you were going. I remember seeing that. Weren't you fighting
I
me?
think that might have
time?
been with one of those battles. Yeah,
Yeah.
did.
I feel like I'm the weird one because I've had the B up B over problem a couple times, but not as much as Frank has.
Yeah, I just wonder if that comes down to how we use the joystick outside of Smash.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know people have talked about tearing up their 3DS or whatever, trying to play this game. And I can't say that that's happened to me. But maybe I'm not playing it enough to have that happen.
Yeah.
But it does make me wonder if people's tendencies in other games have caused some issues with Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's strange, but I don't find myself using it for Smash. I can't wait for another title I'm more interested in using it as a camera control method, like in Monster Hunter, which I don't think I'll ever get a Monster Hunter. But whenever X comes out, or the Xenoblades remake comes out, that's what I'm looking forward to, is to see how it works in those capacities.
Yeah, as a camera thing.
Yeah,
as how I feel like how it was kind of intended to be used.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, that seems more intuitive to me, I guess. But
yeah, definitely. And I don't. Again, I for me, because I'm not a C sticker, my opinion doesn't really matter as much. But I feel like I really want to get someone else's opinion to see what they feel like it. But I honestly don't think it's really that good for Smash. My opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, aside from that, one of the cool things about it is you can now go to the home menu without Smash having to be like, "Oh, I got to turn your system off first." That's been amazing.
Yeah, like that's been like a big problem for me. If it was like, "Oh, I'm done with Smash. I want to go play something else." It's like, "Oh, I got to turn my system off first."
Mm-hmm.
Has that really been an issue for you guys?
Not
it's just
like
a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, it's just an inconvenience that I just wish wasn't there. But
so it's good that this has that, and I'm trying to think of anything else about it, but honestly, those are the main points about it. Everything else is again the best part of it's the fidelity. I love not having to, like, when I go outside and I want to play this while I'm walking on campus to a location, I don't have to change the brightness up super high. It does it automatically.
Yeah.
That's
that's pretty cool.
It sounds silly, but that's my favorite feature so far. Again, I'm looking forward to the amiibo to see how that works. But
yeah,
no.
That's basically all I had. If you guys had other questions, I can.
I was wondering, do we have time for one more topic?
Yeah, sure.
Because we forgot something kind of important when we were talking about Pokemon before we switched.
Oh, did we?
Compatibility.
Oh,
Between X and Y and Omega Ruby.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a bit of contention about that.
Right. So, for those of you who are keeping score at home, for whatever reason, Nintendo has decided to make it so that the new Megas and any new moves that we can get in Alpha and Omega will not be transferable back to X and Y.
Yup.
And to my knowledge, this is the first time that this has happened within a generation.
I heard that the Heart Gold generation did the same thing between... What was the game before Heart Gold Soul Silver?
Platinum.
Was Platinum before, or was it after? And then, did we get Diamond and Pearl before Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and then Platinum after? I think that was what happened.
I'm not sure. I thought Platinum came out first.
Diamond Pearl definitely was the first, and then... where it goes from there, I don't know. But everything, all the others of that group are definitely after Diamond Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
I read in the complaint post about that this has happened before with Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Yeah, so Platinum came out before Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and it was actually the first time that had happened in terms of like Emerald came out after Fire Red and Leaf Green and stuff.
So I don't think it was as publicized, but it's definitely happened before. And I honestly, I'm not so upset about it. I think the biggest problem this time is that in the general populace's minds, X and Y are not that old.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is that, like...
That, and we know it could very easily be patched. Like, they've released big patches for it before.
That's true. In this generation, they should just be able to patch it.
Yeah, there was only a... there was about a year, a little bit under a year, it looks like, between... a little bit over a year between Platinum and Heart Gold. Soul Silver, and that'll be about what it is for these two. But I think the big thing is that they have patched the game before. Obviously, it was to fix game-breaking features like the Lumia City glitch.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It seemed.
Or, because that's the other thing, they even had, like, day one patch content for Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed a little odd to me because I think this is the first time where we've had Pokemon that you can't transfer across.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I honestly, for me, it's not that big of a deal. Primarily because I don't really plan on going back and playing X and Y after we get Alpha and Omega, just because there was so little
Nothing.
content at the end there.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
sort of what I feel like they should have done with this generation, is not necessarily making, like, a second, like, another remake, but instead, like, doing, like, a platinum where there's actual, like, end game content and stuff. Because I actually really do like the world of X and Y. I like Kalos.
Yeah,
but
I am hoping that we will get a Z or an X and Y 2 or whatever after we get Alpha and Omega to kind of
or maybe
compensate, I guess. Give us a little bit more insight.
Because that was another thing, is that like, I've heard, like, both sides, but I'm not sure which is correct. Does not X and Y, but Omega and Alpha have character customization? Or was that taken out?
Oh, lots of people have been saying that it's been taken out. I don't know for sure, though.
Yeah, I think... I don't know. I think that's a little bit in the dark, as it were, because even if it's not in the demo, it's something that they could do.
They could easily... Lots of times, game... Like, when you're making a game, a lot of stuff at the beginning is made at the end.
Yeah.
Like, prologues are almost always done at the end of game design or game development.
Yeah, so I think that's one of those things we'll just have to wait and see. It would be untraditional, uncharacteristic of Game Freak to not capitalize on, like, a Z, especially when we haven't seen...
Or an X squared, Y squared.
Yeah, anything really, like another follow-up in Kalos. It would be
Feeling the magic
ordinary.
XXYY.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for, Sean. Chromosomes.
No, that's also the name of a Sega game that was on the DS.
Yeah,
anyway.
I know. But anyway, just throwing me off my train of thought there, buddy.
Woo.
Speaking of Spirit Tracks, no. Yeah, I feel like it would be almost unheard of. I guess unheard of at this point for them to not do at least a third game, if not, the two follow-ups or whatever. So, but on the other hand, we have had a lot of new things this generation, like the 3D models and the real lack of end-game content. Which has almost been a step backwards.
Yeah, and that will hopefully be fixed here because there was a lot of endgame content for
Black and White 2 especially.
Well, I mean, in Ruby and Sapphire even, and especially if this is probably going to be working off of Emerald somewhat as well.
I hope so, because there's never been, when they've done the remakes, a third remake, so...
Yeah,
they better include everything in these.
Because that's the thing, is that we have, like, the Mega Rayquaza, which is apparently going to be, like, story, like
based.
A story thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not too against them doing story-based megas. Honestly, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Hoenn anyway, so I have high expectations for this game, and I'm hoping that Game Freak can meet them. So. All right.
Well, that sounds like it about wraps it up.
Yep, I think that will be it for
Wrap
this
it a blap.
And we will plan on talking to you guys probably next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Peace.
Goodbye,
Goodbye.
everyone.